Okay, I think we're doing this again. So, I'm going to talk through my thinking here. Um, I've done a bunch of stuff. I meant to do more recording, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, my audio's okay. Really don't know what I'm doing, just kind of threw some stuff together. Got OBS working, but what I have here is my project that I started vibe coding basically. I found out about MCP servers and rules in Cursor and decided to give it a shot. Again, had a hypothesis when I think it was ChatGPT 3 came out that about 2 years ago that a relatively technical PM could build a MVP of a product without a dev team. And I've seen glimmers of that, but I've also seen what happens when you go off the rails. And I've been in troubleshooting hell many times, and um, it's been super interesting. So I totally vibe coded this whole thing. And what it really is I found that if I didn't stay organized a little bit, that I'd just chase shiny objects and not finish things and not um, kind of go all over the place and build up a bunch of tech debt in the process. And it's caused for some really, it's created some really pain in the ass troubleshooting stuff. And I was just kind of telling it to build random features and it would build things and implement them in different ways. So what this is this is a tool for helping me build tools. And a tool is, well, it's a project is what I call it because it's really project management software. But I'm trying to use agile metaphors while vibe coding. And what I've done is got a project loaded, um, and let me show you a little bit about it. So this was a to-do list from 320. It's 331. Okay, it's not bad. Or 330. I don't know what the 45 is at the end. I don't have any files on this, but I can attach files and stuff. This is just sort of the overview of the project. I do want to point out the generate code button is something that it added. It doesn't do anything. If I go to code generation, it just says it can't find anything. But anyway, I'm in this project. I can set up multiple projects. I can do basic operations on it. I can edit it and things. Project has a tech stack, so like the idea of building sort of templates of patterns that work well for myself. And honestly, I want to be able to let other people use this tool to kind of build out templates of best practices and things like that. So you can add other things if you want. It added all this. I didn't even ask. It just threw all these things in there. I think I threw in Tailwind because that's what I originally used. I think I'm going to stick with that. So it's got MongoDB. That's one of the defining factors of me abandoning this build is got it pushed all the way out to Google Cloud test and have a real hard time getting Mongo to connect. It's outside of GCP and I don't really want to deal with it. I want to go with hyperscaler because I want to learn it better too, and because I work in that space sometimes. Um, and I just having a hard time getting Mongo set up, so I am going to use some kind of a SQL-based database that actually has some sort of a vector interface. But that's another conversation for another day. But I can have all this in a project. It's just a random like high-level view of the epics. This is for me to know what the heck is going on. I don't know why I have this weird view when I have a full Kanban view, which I'll show in a second. This is just all the epics in here. There's a plus that says view Kanban board, and here's some sort of a mysterious looking view Kanban. I can add an epic from here. I don't know why I want to. This is the other view, the Kanban board. And I've decided that vibe coding goes so quickly that I'm going to work on an epic at a time, not a user story. Just using that metaphor, but that's the speed at which things change and the granularity. I did kind of cheat a little bit where I can still have user stories, but I'll show you that in a second. So I've got a basic Kanban board. I never implemented drag and drop. I tried early on and it was horrible, so I just got rid of the functionality. I can change what column they're in by inside the epics themselves. And there's all kinds of neat things in here. I'm going to just hide this one so I have a little more space. I can zoom in just that one column if I want. I can use an epic around MCP scripts tools. So I was building some shell scripts to sort of emulate tools that I may want to use in building an MCP server for this thing. And so that was a body of work. It doesn't always show up great in dark mode, but you can do all kinds of different things. So I've got here I can filter. So I have a task type. These are notes and spikes. I've got bugs. I also cheated and made a user. I made something called a story, which can be down here too if I really want to. And I, it was too much, so I made it, hit it, and I can copy to the clipboard, which is one of the things I was doing, is copying stuff to the clipboard and then putting it directly into the AI assisted code editor, which was pretty cool. So I've got ChatGPT open so I can, show the task and the title and this description of what I was just in. That was super useful. I can dupe it, I can edit it, I can trash it. I can also increment through a status. So this is not started. If I click on it, it becomes in progress. If I click on it again, it becomes QA. If I click on it again, it's done. So that goes through a progression. I can't change the order of these. It might move up if I edit it. So let's see, this creates scripts for automatic. I think it does if I change something about it and save it. I think it does it with epics. It moves them to the top, but I don't have a way to prioritize these, and that's okay. But I can do all these types. I can show them just by, hey, if I click on this, then only tasks are going to show. What I like to do is I like to click on the in progress and just show the in progress stuff. So I pick up that work and move it through and limit my work in progress. Sometimes I'll show not started as well, but I can clear out filters. So I can say, show me the tasks that are in progress, and it'll filter and show that. That lets me work on it. So that's pretty cool. That works fine. There's random emojis and stuff. I can edit it and change all kinds of things. I can set the status. I can add tagging. There's a lot of tagging in here, and I can filter by tags as well and elsewhere. Actually, I don't know if I'll see if the tags are showing in the Epic view. I think I can have tags on items as well. So I think I can. No, I guess I didn't add that yet. I do want to add tags on them because I want to be able to search by tags and stuff later. But anyway, that's sort of what I've been doing here. Got a Kanban board, show some progress. I can see, the status, how many of each type of tasks. I can open up another one and view it. Let's go back into dark mode here. I guess I can't do tags inside of here. There's some bugs. But again, I can see, I want to see what is in progress, and it'll show me other things from the DevOps and infrastructure improvements. I was doing tests retroactively instead of doing TDD, which I want to do and I'm going to do because I need to have confidence that I'm not, that the AI isn't breaking shit all the time. So I'm going to have very heavy test coverage. And I'm going to have the AI actually do test-driven development and pairing actually, which is kind of interesting. I've been experimenting with that. It works pretty well. But I can do all kinds of different stuff, and this has been helpful. But I've also found that, I'll show you something cool, is while working with Cursor, again, this code generator doesn't do anything, but here in the bottom, it's in the settings. I can export projects and I can import projects. And I actually have told Cursor to think basically in this Kanban structure, and I gave it an example, and it can take work and tasks that I've done just by chatting with the agent and update what is called the to-do.json to fit this structure, and then I can go and import it and look at it and manipulate it and move it back over. Also, in some of the MCP scripts here that are current, I basically wrote scripts or had the AI write scripts so I can like I can take the to-do list, which I have it update every time before do commit, so that and it's committed, so I can go back and someday I'll have the AI go and look at it for trends or something. I don't know, maybe not. Um, I can take the current to-do list and tell a cursor agent to save it directly to the MongoDB that drives this thing, and new projects will just pop up. And that was just sort of simulating what I might want to do in an MCP server. So I figure I'm just trying to exercise things and come up with what might work and what what is working as I'm building things and what's working for organization. And so I have this sort of two-way workflow of I can push from here and take that, do an export and give it to point cursor to it and tell it to add it to the to do, and it'll munge those two for me, and it does it well. It deals with the structured data really well, and it can dedupe and other things. So that's cool. I also have sat and done things like this. So this is currently some research. I finally got my deep research or whatever credits back, so I uploaded a bunch of files and had a conversation with it. So these files here, basically what I did, well, actually, let me show you a little more of the app and then I'll tell you what I did. I don't want to go too off of things. So I can do, the dashboard has all the projects. These are obviously just kind of keyboard to test if I could create new projects. You can see the recent epics. This vibe, I don't know, I must have mentioned vibe coding, and it thought that the code had a vibe at some point, and just built weird little features like that. I also, yeah, I can do some things with my user stuff. Import, export. I started testing the MPC server. I actually containerized the browser tools MCP server because one of the things I figured out while doing this is that I implemented container-based development, and I also am I've been implementing a promotion process where I basically use automation to move a certain release into, or a certain commit into test. So it has to have gone through dev first, then I can grab it and send it to, or tell it test to build against it, and I can have it promote right to GCP if I want, at least test, and I probably have it sit there and gate it a little and poke at it. But at some point, I'll let it just be automated and push stuff all the way through to prod. And because I was doing things like telling Cursor to build things, and it would do it differently, and then I told it to write scripts, and then we wrote documentation to tell it to always use the scripts when it was doing things, and it became more consistent because I'm finding that it can do a lot of things, but it loses context. So I really want to limit the context that the AI has to hold right now, and I do that by building repeatable things. And so automation that the AI doesn't have to be aware of is making it so it doesn't have to hold that context. So we'll document how we promote through environments, and I can ask it to launch a script, or actually got a stream deck and have been putting commands in and can do things like build and check a lot of things around Docker and stuff. Anyway, so I'm using Docker for pretty much everything. So the MCP server was crashing a lot and was running right on my local system. Browser tools is what you see here. It's connected on localhost here, and I have that running in, I've got Docker desktop set up. I guess I could just drag over here. So I've got Docker desktop set up and I have browser tools in here. And here are the three parts of where I'm accessing the application right now. And I can mess with that and do a bunch of stuff off Steam Deck. That doesn't really matter right now. That's VS Code, and this is I'm playing around with root code and doing some other stuff. But I have two projects going at once a lot of the time, which is not smart to do. But I'm just testing out a lot of tools. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm staying up till 3 or 4 in the morning most nights because I'm getting in a flow state and just rolling. I don't know why this code through a random icebox. I must have asked it to add something to the icebox, and it just built it into the page because that's what it does. But anyway, I took the MCP server that has 2 elements. Usually they only really have 1. This one has 3 total. No, they have 2 elements. This one has 3. So you'd usually have some kind of a process. You might have like a node app or something that runs when the MCP server launches, or when the MCP client launches it. This one has another app that has to run, and it has a Chromium plugin. I just decided to use Brave because I don't really use Brave very often, and it's Chromium compatible. So I took and put the browser tools extension is running in here, and that's what we see down here, and we can wipe logs, and we can tell it where to save screenshots to, and it's shows the port that it's running in and stuff, and it's happy and it's connected. So the extension's running or connected to what I containerized because I got sick of weird dependency things and port conflicts and all this garbage. It's just a total pain in the keister. So I am going full on in containers. I'm doing this tool that runs that sits between. You've got the Chrome extension, you've got the server that I have containerized, and then you have whatever the client is, like Cursor or root code or Claude Desktop, or there's other tools. Those can all reach out and use browser tools now. And the lesson that I learned is that if you containerize it and set it up in a container, it's a lot. You're not messing up your local environments or your local computer. You can kind of put things in a little bit of a jail if you want to, and that's a good thing. And you can come up with repeatable processes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up templates for a stack, and this first stack is Node and React and Express and Tailwind, and I don't remember what the front end of this is. Oh, and Mongo. But I am changing. I'm going to use material design stuff for the front end. I think I'm going to still use Tailwind, maybe. Going to definitely use React, and because I eventually want to learn React Native, and I assume there's some overlap, but maybe hopefully it's not JavaScript kind of thing. And again, I'm changing the database because Mongo's been a pain. So I am going to abandon this product, but I'm going to make a few changes. Let me show you a little bit about what I did. What I ended up doing earlier today is I loaded up Cursor, and this project was originally called PM AI pair is what I called it. I want to make a pair. I want the AI to be my pair and to help me be better and to help me do a whole lot of things eventually. But then I learned about vibe coding and decided I wanted to put some structure around it and use agile metaphors. So this is Vibe Agile. I know the vibe term is cheesy as all hell, but whatever, it works. It's funny. I'm not going to fight it. So what I ended up, and it's not in this session. So this was not in this session. I was I was working on getting the UI working in this last session. But what I did is I came in here and I changed this to an ask mode, and I paid some extra money and decided to use Claude 3.7 Sonnet Max, and it turns on thinking automatically, I think. And I decided to have a conversation with Claude 3.7 in thinking mode and pay the extra. I turned on the pay for extra stuff on Cursor, and it hasn't cost that much money. I also blew through all my tokens super early because I was doing so much stupid stuff, and I want to try to keep that from happening again by limiting the context of what the AI has to have. But I had a conversation here, and I basically said, "Hey, um, I'm going to mothball this code base. There's just too much tech debt." I went back and retroactively wrote tests for everything, and I've got pretty decent test coverage, and it's pretty cool, but it's not perfect. It breaks all the time, and I spend a ton of time troubleshooting, and I'm gonna just cut my losses, but I want to take my lessons that were learned. So I said, hey, I want to do some things. I want to change a database. I want to use the a different front end or different interface, material design kind of thing. And I want to take the best practices of what we've learned working together building this, and I want to start a new project with it. And I asked for it to write some markdown files. And we had a long conversation, and it created some markdown files, which I think are, I'm in Cursor here. Sorry, there's a bunch of stuff that's open. So I think it's in context. And did I put it in context or put it in docs? Or did it go outside in there? I think I put it in. Oh, this is funny. I can't find it. Oh, bibagil refactoring. So that's what it is. So this refactoring, I asked it, I said, take some, here's some important docs, and it wrote, the idea, I want to add personas. I want to add personas for two reasons. It's something I think is super important for understanding the users, and I am the primary persona, but one of the personas of this product is eventually want to help people who are less technical than me, and I'm not the world's most technical person, but I have experience in a lot of this stuff. Haven't been a software engineer in 15 years, but play one on TV. But I want to use personas for user personas, and the second persona is people who are less technical than me. I want to have this product provide some guardrails and some frameworks that help make the products you create, if you're doing what is being called vibe coding, that you have enough guardrails and you have the AI is kind of doing very specific things and doesn't have to hold on to a bunch of context, because it doesn't do that very well. You have a bunch of decisions, and you just say, here's some patterns, here's some templates, here's some ways to work, and make that available. Here's some rules for your AI coding agent, starting with Cursor. And I actually like root code enough that I'll probably do root code stuff at the same time. But I could say, hey, you can use root code, and you need to use Docker, and we're going to do container-based development, and we're going to deploy in containers when it's a web app or a backend for another kind of app. And we're going to follow these rules, and we're going to do, so that persona is someone who wouldn't be able to figure all that stuff out, and just give them guardrails so they're not doing things like putting their public keys, on GitHub, or putting them in their code. GitHub's another requirement. There's a lot of reasons for that, but we're going to use GitHub. And I have found that if you write good rules, that Cursor, and I haven't gotten super good rules yet into root code, but I know Cursor, if you give it good Git hygiene rules, which sorry, I'm going all over with the Git workflow and building tests and things. I put these in the rules. Those are super important. And this is the stack. It's sort of a web app in general, and this is a web app using Node specifically. Anyway, so those rules are going to be important for that persona as well because they don't know how to do that kind of stuff. But I also want to use personas for agents. So things like this, like we've got here, I can add an XP pair, and if I edit it, it's what tools are available, and then in the advanced options, whether I can let it autofix errors, and then this is my XP pair. I have actually have a dual personality team that's doing extreme programming. That's what I learned at Pivotal, and I've had some pretty good success with it. But being able to create an agent persona and using the same kind of thing. So I told it I wanted to do that. Want to do personas for both, again, for users as well as for agents. And I'm totally going to lose here it is. So here's a refactor. Pricing. Oh, that's if I was thinking about, like, I'm going to add AI to it, but I'm going to do it through API keys. And I was thinking that if I was going to provide anything that is AI related built into the product, it would have to be paid because I can't just give away, API calls. So I'm trying to think through how that might work. Here's the README that might make more sense to look through. So we've got personas. A tech stack is a concept of having a template of sort of, oh, you want to build a web app and you're going to vibe code. So that's how I backed into my tech stack, is I asked ChatGPT and Claude and probably Grok or some other ones. I poke around and use a lot of the different AIs and ask them questions. And just was asking what the most common stack is for a web app. And that's the stack that I used. I asked them. So the idea of a stack is that when I'm building a project, I want to use what most of the AI is most familiar with. So that's what I did. And so I want to be able to choose other ones because I actually want to build a mobile app. And one might be, I might do React Native, and and I'm an Apple user, and actually I'm an Android user on occasion too, but I would, might do React Native. I might do Expo, might do React Native and then put it right into Xcode, and then in Android Studio. I don't know. I'm going to figure out what the easiest way to develop a mobile app is. And I'm going to put some rules together and some agents with their personas and their tools and other things, the APIs that they can call, how expensive their API calls are allowed to be, and then going to just try to have a framework where what works and guardrails again for the AI, and continue to build out different stacks so that someone can come in and say, I want to start a new project, and this is the stack, and then the stack would have a recommended set of agents, and the agents will also have a test strategy. So it's how to do testing for each of the roles. They'll also have the to-do schemas. I want to again be able to have an AA agent write a to-do list that can be imported. And I decided I want to have the to-do schema be built out for the next product in this product, because I want to use this to build the next iteration. And at some point, it'll have enough functionality that I'll set this aside and just work. I'll deploy to test and just work in test and be able to import and export and see how things look. But I want to build out a schema for this general project structure and a user persona or customer persona a system persona. Sometimes I use system personas. I've done that a lot in building complex software. And then agent personas. I hadn't really thought about system personas in this product, but I could do it. And I want to extend the data by building in very basic CRUD operations into here and getting that import export structure that captures all these new things like the stacks, like the agents. Going to do some basic API management, and then I can say, hey, I want the agent that's writing the code to always have the best coding agent for this tech stack. And then if I have 4 or 5 different projects with different agents in there, or if there's right now, it's not like the models are so specialized. I mean, I could choose and say, oh, I want to use Claude 3.7 for everything, or I might say, oh, for certain cases, oh, that costs a lot of money, so I actually want to use Gemini 2.5 for everything right now, and have Claude 3.7 be only for agents that are available to use like high cost or something. Um, just stuff like that, and be able to set what that looks like. And then I got to figure out how the heck to get that stuff into, the difference that is setting up an agent down here, or if I want to look at, this is Rue code, and it has, I have it in ask mode, but I put my PM pair in there. And this gets much more of, this has much more of a user interface to do it, and it's actually pretty cool. But it might just be the copy and paste thing for now. Like I showed you, I could copy and paste a task and put it in. I think I have a copy and paste the whole epic and all the tasks prioritized, so I can just drop that into Cursor or to Rue code. Um, but I can, this one has, API configurations and available tools and all these kind of things, mode specific custom instructions. Do I want to have, specific instructions for the given mode, if it, all that kind of stuff. And so I want to be able to manage these things in a general way, and then figure out a way to push them to whatever tool I'm using. Or maybe there's an MCP server, and I can just say, hey, like I'm currently, yeah, there's a million context window. I like this. This is Google. And this is a scraper thing that I started writing just to see um, what Gemini 2.5 was like, because it was rumored to be super good, and it's actually pretty good. I think it's on par, or and sometimes better than Claude 3.7, but not as fun to talk with as Claude 3.7 is. Like Claude 3.7 is a better conversationalist, but I think they're pretty comparable in code. And I think this big ass context window and the fact that it's free right now, it gets limited if you turn on auto approve, but whatever. But maybe I'd come in here and say, hey, use the MCP server and go grab the rules from Vibagile, and the rules for this stack from this project or whatever. When maybe I give it a name that it knows what project it's in. It's doing the Ryobi scraper thing that I'm never going to push online and get my IPs banned, but I like finding cheap tools, so I'm building a Python app that does that. Anyway, if you're looking at my screen, that's what it's doing. That's what it's going to do. I also want to know how to use the tools. But I could say, go get this, or go get it from this project, get this thing, and overwrite your own rules, because a lot of these products have the rules stored in the code base directory. And so I can just have that as an update mechanism. I'm also thinking GitHub could work. I could have Vibagile connect to GitHub and push rules to GitHub, and then pull them down through VS Code or through Cursor or whatever it is. Like that's another way to do it. There's also integrations directly with GitHub. I also have thought through what it would be to also connect the Kanban status with GitHub projects or GitHub issues, and then GitHub projects gives it a whole nother overlay that has I actually looked at that when I was building some of this to make things align, so that theoretically I could say, well, the source of truth, you could theoretically choose, I don't want to rely on Vibe Agile to save my project or something, or I want to have it backed up or whatever, even though you can just back up and download it. I want to eventually have it connect with GitHub and be able to sync or push or pull from GitHub projects. And then I can also do that through a VS Code or Cursor plugin, can say, hey, go grab. So it might be that GitHub is the thing that you use. It could be that you reach out directly to Vibe Agile. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to probably build it every way and then see what works and then make the right tool for the job that works available for other people. So that's kind of all the stuff. So going to get rid of a couple things, going to do some more work in Cursor and add some very basic pages and get the data structure good enough that I'm comfortable with it. And then I'm going to start building a new project, and it's not going to be called PM Pair, PM AI Pair. It's going to be called Vibe Agile. And I'm going to take all of the documents that I wrote and all of the stuff that I'm doing here with ChatGPT. Looks like it maybe is done. And I'm going to build out a bunch of documentation, a product, some sort of product requirements document, which I hated doing those kind of things as a PM, but it's not so toilsome when I can just talk with the AI and have it write it. So I had to do, yeah, some all sorts of, let's see, what did we talk about? We talked about agents and persona configuration. I had to do research on what all the top coding tools, AI coding tools are doing for agents, and what is that? Here it's got Aider and Cursor, and it's looking at GitHub at it, looking at GitHub. So it's looking at that, user role, behavior models, context and memory, tells and permissions per persona. So that was what I was talking about, just kind of deciding that these are the best things, these are the prompts that you give it, these are the tools it needs. You can here download this, tell it to go download this from this repo and build, it's the Docker build stuff, and go build this container, and then you can run the MCP tool natively or whatever. So stacks and API management, so AI API management. And I asked it, like, should a stack have agents, or should agents have stacks, or should it be both? I don't really know. Oh yeah, holding on to models and tokens and things, and context window size, and just like, again, these are like, an agent should have certain needs, and then certain APIs will meet them, and I want to be able to also let people customize it, but I also want to be able to, if I make updates and push it to the app, it could be where here's the templated thing where the recommendation is to use for this type of agent. If you can spend money, then use this, and if you can't, then you're using for however long. We end up with 2.5 from Google being free, or I personally have not used DeepSeek because I really, I'm sending my data all over the place. I just decided not to use it. I may decide to use it or just do some basic testing at some point. I just haven't done it yet. Yeah, we got stacks, we got task management, and then different lists, and we're going to build, I don't have any way to prioritize tasks and epics, and I'm going to build something, and it might just be a button that says move to top or something, just so I can set priority. And I also said, should we set priority specifically, or should we infer priority by the list of things in the way that it's stack ranked, basically? And so that was one of the things we're talking about. Yeah, persistence of tasks and rules, and cursor rules, and all sorts of stuff. Interesting. So I'm going to read through this, and I'm going to take all of this, and I'm going to basically build out a full project in the old version of Vibe Agile to build the new version of Vibe Agile. And I'm going to start just using the tool to build the tool. That has worked out real well. So we talked about MCP servers and external integrations and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, local data and automation, because I want to actually have promotion and automated builds locally, because I like to keep a local dev and a local test and have some level of promotion on my system. Um, so all kinds of things, naming conventions. There's a lot of stuff in here. So I gotta unpack this, but I do this a lot. Oh, and this is it. I asked for a chart to show me. It's actually pretty cool. You can see I have a Pivotal PM and Pivotal XP developers was messing around with building GPTs on them. So yeah, trying to get the data structure. That was one of the things I asked for, is recommendations that will align with a lot of these things. It looked like it looked at code. Oh, I guess so. Continue. I don't know what continue is. I did I look at that? Never heard of it. That's to look for what the popular frame or AI coding helpers were and stuff. So I thought Aider and root code were kind of the same. But anyway, I asked to look at it and does some pretty interesting things around memory and context. I wonder if I could dump memory and context. Because again, I'd also like to be able to, if one tool, like I messed around with Pythagora for a while, and it uses a pretty interesting model where you like build out the whole front end and it just like mocks the data. And you build out the whole front end and all the functionality of the front end, and then it like goes and builds a back end. And it didn't work real well, or I didn't have the right paid model, or I paid for it for a while. Oh, it was $50 or something too. And it was I couldn't get it working real well, but it was interesting. It was a different way to do it. But it's cool to see how some of these things work, and it'd be nice to just be able to move between tools. I assume like Google's going to come up with a tool at some point. I assume Microsoft is going to have a next gen Copilot that's more than just code hinting. Yeah, MC Git integration. Okay. Gator. Okay. So yeah, this is interesting. So it's building out. I wanted data structures because I wanted to get the import export. And okay, so that's what it did. I asked it if it wanted to rewrite, but that I told it it could rewrite some of the documents. I'll have to figure out whether it did that or not. But I've also done things like given ChatGPT the the to do JSON, and I thought I included the schema for it, but I I can say like, hey, let's come up with a plan and build out the whole backlog and the tasks and appropriately tag them all and put things in the right column and prioritize them and decide and add notes. And I can tell it to do all that stuff, and it does it. Usually, it does it on the first try. I think Claude is the best at it. I think it has 100%. When I have a conversation with Claude about building out a product, I have it export in the Vibe Agile format, and it just does it, and I can import it right into it and use it. It's really cool. So I want to be able to have things be moving between tools and not be too dependent on things. And we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to come up with that. I'm going to not really do any of this stuff anymore, I don't think. And I'm going to use it. I'm going to get rid of this code generator that again doesn't do anything. There's all kinds of other weird, funky features in here. The import from GitHub doesn't do anything. I just said talk with it. Let's see if I hit it. Oh. Let's see to actually build it. It's gonna probably do nothing. Yeah, it'll do that. You talk about it and it'll just be, oh, wow. That'd be funny if it actually did. It already built GitHub integration. It'd be funny. Sometimes it does stuff like that. And actually, one of the cool things about vibe coding was when I did it so loosely in the beginning, I didn't have to be super specific, and it would add, and if I wasn't super specific, it would sometimes add stuff I didn't ask for. And some of that was pretty cool. Some of that stuff I was like, that's neat. That's a feature that I like. And other times it wasn't. It was like, that's weird. Why do you do that? Like, why would I want to go from I'm inside of a project's I'm inside of a project's Kanban or backlog here. And so like right now I don't even have a projects thing. I have to go to the dashboard to see them. Or I can select it here and it'll load it. But then, I have this secondary Kanban view, which I guess is cool. I didn't ask for it. If I had an epic, it throws me over here. That's weird. Yeah, it's just it adds features and they go weird places. It's just like it'll just build shit. You could have a million features and it's annoying. Um, yeah, I had this idea of stacks and stuff pretty early on, and the repo and the ability to manage all that kind of stuff. Let's switch project to. Oh, that's pretty neat because I couldn't reach up there and do it. I had to open up a modal to do it. I think these are actually the same, mostly the same thing. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to, and we'll see how it goes. And I think that's what I think I'm done for the day.